Today I'm headed to South Carolina to meet up with my buddy BJ Dennis, an author, just an awesome human being who has deep dived into the culture of African American foodways, mainly of the diaspora and the Gullah Geechee culture, which he is intrinsically a part of. When people think of the word collard greens, or the vegetable collard greens, leafy greens, it conjures up a lot of thought within that. Earlier history, you would look at collard greens and a lot of mixed reviews, mostly negative, that collard greens are not healthy greens, that they were primarily a very, very low on the food level with regards to greens, and primarily it's because black people ate them, right? Most of the things that Africans ate were not regarded as extremely nutritious, and what we're finding out is that is far from the case. But the interesting thing about collard greens is that most people feel that, hey, it's just collard greens a collard green. And Georgia, when you hear collard greens, you think of Georgia. Some people might think of like Morris Head or things like that with just a few collard greens. Well, I'm a part of the Heirloom Collard Green Association, and Ira Wallace and some amazing people, Chris Smith and Michael Twitty, have all really deep dive into the world of collard greens from some great scientists, culinary anthropologists who started to look at collard greens as something extremely unique to America. Well, what does that mean? Ironically, collard greens are not from Africa. We associate them with Africans for the most part, but they're not from Africa. The biggest thing is that collard greens are a Mediterranean green. But there's something interesting. When those Mediterranean greens came over with, enslaved or captive Africans, they look very different from what they were in the Mediterranean region. Most of those collards, or the wild collards, actually grew in rocky substrate, very poor soils, not very big. But when they came over with the captive Africans to the Americas, their phenotypes changed unbelievably, and they became what we know today as these big, leafy, robust greens. The cool thing about collard greens is that they manifested themselves within the regions of African culture, and also the poor white culture really adopted the collard greens because of the captive Africans. And in each region of where these collard greens generated, they exemplified their own different phenotypes. So when you ask people about collard greens, you say, how many different types of collard greens? People typically say one or two, or maybe three is the most that I've heard people say about the different varieties. But as I go to Clemson today at the university and spend time with BJ Dennis, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the fact that there are over 100 different varieties of collard greens. And
47 miles, continue straight.
I think that's absolutely fascinating. 100 different varieties. And each of those varieties tell a story. Each of those varieties, when you learn about them, are going to open up a whole new world into the world of collard greens. And so I'm super excited to see and see what BJ has to say, see the studies that Clemson University has, and I'll be sharing that with you. Sorry for kind of a long extended video. I am a novice historian in the culinary arts, especially within the African diaspora foodways, and collard greens are a major source for African diets and should be up there, you know, with kale or even higher with regards to the nutritional value. So yeah, man, let's head on to Clemson, heading down to the coast, and we're gonna learn about some collard greens. So I'm out here in Clemson's collard green and brassica fields. I mean, beautiful work with over 100 varieties of collards that they have been stewarding. And I'm walking by and I'm listening to conversations about, you know, folks who are growers concerning what constitutes a good collard. Many of them are talking about leaves, many of them are talking about height. And but one of the biggest things that they're missing is what the Africans love, right? So Africans just didn't worry about the actual leaves or the height, but they did worry about the stems, which most people are trying to breed varieties that have less stem. But for Africans, the stem is important because of the fact that that stem is what creates the beautiful pot liquor. The stem is the highway for the nutrition to get to the leaves. And so they eat those. They didn't just pick the leaves off, they chopped everything and put it in their pot because that's where the nutrition is, which is in contrast to what colonials did. Because of soft teeth and cultures of the African diaspora, mainly ate green leafy vegetables, but the stem was the most important part of that as well. So more to follow. Interesting to hear people talk.